Hey, 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 everyone. I'm Becca. He's Matt, and this is Becca's Book Club Adventure.
Hello, 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 everyone. We did it. We finished House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. Dang.
The ending is elite.
The ending was elite. I mean, like, the moment that a demon showed up behind her, I was like, oh, no, we're in Prithian. Like, I got it, like, immediately.
I didn't.
It was just like, who's behind her and who looks like Ruhn? Is it going to be Asriel or because Ruhn has the shadow thing, or will it be Rhys? But like, it was pretty obvious that Cassian picked her up.
Yeah. I knew reason was coming because of Ruhn's eyes commentary, but when we landed, I was like, yeah, we're obviously seeing the devil. This is where she wanted to go. Yeah. She didn't go where she wanted to go.
She didn't.
Should we get into it?
Opens all the possibilities for book 3, like all the possibilities. This is pretty cool. But yes, we should get into it.
All right. So let's take a second moment to thank our sponsor. Wow, that was really hard.
Nailed it, Becca.
Ooh. Should I try again? Probably not.
Nah, forget it. Our damn, this is infectious, lady. All right. Today's episode is sponsored by ice. Summer is here, and ice is also here to help.
That's right. Do you miss the frigid flavors of December inside your mouth? Well, never fear. Throw some ice in your drink, and your taste buds will be so cold they'll be wished they were departed to warmer climates.
Ice is perfect for just about anything. All you need is some water, a tray, and time. And who doesn't have plenty of time?
Yes, enjoy ice in your beverage no matter where you are, at home, picking up your kid from school, or while shopping at the Home Depot. Ice makes every drink and situation better.
Side effects of ice might include diluting your booze, conservative brain freeze, unforeseen vacations, and ruined coffee, unless you're a psycho who likes that kind of thing. I mean, okay, so I wrote that and it was really, really funny in my brain. And then your sister sent a thing on Instagram this morning of like somebody getting shot with a rubber bullet. And I don't know, just like now I'm like, it's maybe not as funny as I thought it was, but.
No, the ISIS stuff is, we're in full government takedown mode.
Yeah, it is extremely reminiscent of 1933 Germany. The parallels are uncanny. Well, I'm not saying a Holocaust is coming, but.
Before we delve into depression, let's talk about the book.
Right, the book. Okay, let's recalibrate the brain. We're here to have a good time. We're here to escape reality. If you would like to escape reality with us, listeners, feel free to leave us a comment or a review. You could even email us at bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or you could DM us on Instagram at Becca's Book Club Adventure. And if we hear from you, we're going to throw you on the next episode for sure. So like I said earlier, we read part 3 of House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. It's something like chapters 48 through the end. And we should recap it. So start us off. Where does part 3 begin?
All right. Part 3 begins with our main characters back in Crescent City at Bryce's apartment. It's always her apartment. I love her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to live in her apartment. What happened on the depth charger after we left them, or how they got back into the city without being arrested, we have no idea. Everything is going great until Byaxin pounds on the door.
Yeah. Byaxin wants answers. He wants in with whatever's happening. The group isn't trusting, and Byaxin tells them that he's a rebel sympathizer. And when they want answers, they know where to find him. And he slams the door and leaves.
Ooh. Anyway, life moves on. One morning before work, as Ruhn is getting introduced to his new female roommates, Bryce and Hunt take a trip to the meat market to see the Viper Queen because, unknown to all of us, Bryce had the Viper Queen hunting for a meal this entire time, and she has found him. And he's sitting on the Viper Queen's couch.
Bryce does her best to be kind to and to console Emil, and because we learned that he's not actually all powerful in magic. He's literally just a scared kid. And Bryce knew this or guessed it and has Fury on standby to drive Emil to his new location where he is getting a new name and is being adopted by her parents. And for her help, Bryce now owes the Viper Queen a favor.
Who knows when she'll pay it? But before she can go to work, Ruhn drags Bryce into the stolen fire sprites and the dragon shifter's business, for which Bryce calls Jessica. For Jessica's help, Bryce now owes Jessica a flavor.
Bryce be owing everyone favors. And on top of that, Bryce is surprised by a package from Jessica awaiting her at work. It's an ancient analysis about dragon fire, which is so powerful apparently that it can harm the princes of hell. This did not come up again in the rest of the damn book.
Nope,
but I still feel like it's worth mentioning. It's going to be important next book.
Take that little nugget and keep it with you for a while. While Bryce is back at work, so is Hunt, and so is the Hind, who is playing dumb as though nothing happened, and no one else knows anything either, except Celestina, who can smell that Hunt and Bryce are now mated. She's happy for them, but if she can smell it, who else can? And will everyone else be happy?
Meanwhile, at Ruhn's house, Hypaxia decides to grace us with her presence. All is not well in the Witch Coven. They were loyal to her mother, but the fact that Hypaxia was raised in isolation, taught by the dead, and is a necromancer doesn't really sit well with everyone. So they have they have conflicting views about the future.
Long story short, Hypaxia fears that they will want to replace her with her half-sister, the Hind. So she's asking Ruhn to be her escort while she's in the city. Ruhn, of course, obliges and also offers Ethan and Adrian's help. Adrian is the dragon shifter, as extra protection. Ethan decides to help in exchange for Hypaxia contacting Connor, which she agrees to do at the Autumnal Equinox.
Okay, hard right turn. Hard right turn. Agent Daybright is back. She shows up on the mental bridge, as it were, to warn Ruhn that Ophion is pissed about essentially Hunt torching everything. And Ophion has authorized Pippa Spetsos, I hate that last name, to retaliate. I can't pronounce it in my mind, and I can't pronounce it out of my mouth. That's a horrible last name.
Nope, I never do. I just, Pippa, move on. Another hard right turn. The Autumn King confronts Bryce at work about 1, mating with Hunt when she's promised to Cormac. 2, using her princess title and his name when she needed influence. 3, the fact that he's now officially having her name changed from Quinolin to Dan. And 4, Danon. And 4, that he knows she is seeking what she is seeking because he is seeking for the same answer himself. The truth.
Little T. Bryce, understandably upset, seeks out Hypaxia and strikes up a friendship and wants advice. The two commiserate about how not normal they are. They talk about Bryce's change in station and even discuss Hypaxia's past and the dead, those that taught her and her necromancer abilities. But their friendship date is rudely interrupted when a massive gray-scaled beast attacks from nowhere and rips out Ethan's throat. 2
Deathstalkers have come to Crescent City. Trapped between them, Bryce and Hypaxia, shooting her healing powders into Bryce's chest, gives her a jump start. Bryce then teleports to Ethan's side, uses his gun to dispatch the first demon, and then she uses her teleportation as a diversion on the second demon until Hypaxia can get a drop on it and dispatch it with her knife.
Which is arguably much more badass than the teleporting and shooting a gun. In the aftermath, while Hypaxia is saving Ethan's life, Isaiah and Hunt arrive late, by the way, total man move, and they escort everyone to safety at the witch's embassy, where they meet up with Ruhn and the Ox. Also late, man move. And we learn that Ariadne, the dragon shifter, is loose in the wind. She's gone. She flew the coop. She's a wuss.
As Ethan heals, Tharion gains a private moment with Hypaxia. Oh, Tharion. At the embassy under the pretext of one court checking in on another after an attack. But they need to keep it brief before anyone discovers them or thinks they're doing anything wrong. Are they in love? Are they an unknown alliance? Are they rebels together? Who knows where we'll go with this relationship?
We will probably find out in book 3, because we sure as shit don't find out in the end of book 2. But back on that mental bridge, Ruhn meets with Agent Daybright again. Ruhn wants to know when they can meet, like in person, IRL. Long story short, the two will both be attending the Archangel Ball in Crescent City, get this, on the Autumnal Equinox. And they agree to meet there at midnight.
What a Cinderella story.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have Hypaxia agreeing to a seance of sorts with the Autumnal Equinox and Ruhn finally meeting Agent Daybright at the same night. It's going to be busy.
It's going to be real busy Equinox, that's for sure. Anyway, between one page and the next, 2 weeks go by and the Autumnal Equinox is here. And everyone is at the red carpet party for the Archangels. And we finally learn that Bryce has a plan to deal with her meddlesome father.
Bryce arrives at the party with Cormac as her escort and Hunt in tow. Before her father can introduce them, Bryce introduces herself and Hunt as mates, Princess and Prince, which Celestina and Ephraim acknowledge, as do the Asteri, who make a surprise video appearance, which now means Bryce is Hunt's property and not her father's.
Ruhn, meanwhile, spends a lovely evening escorting Hypaxia around the festivities. When Hypaxia chooses to finally meet her sister, the Hind, for the first time, Ruhn sees his chance and gives her some privacy so he can run off and meet Agent Daybright.
After their meeting place, Ruhn runs into the harpy. He decides to leave rather than get caught, but as he's leaving the meeting spot, he sees the Hind watching him and having followed him there.
After the party, Ruhn meets Agent Daybright back on the mental bridge. She was there. She saw him, but she chose to stay away because of the female threats that were there. She knows who he is, knows his name, and it sounds oh so good coming out of her mouth. So Ruhn shares a passionate kiss with Agent Daybright.
While Ruhn is disappointed, Hunt and Bryce are super aroused. They slip away from the party to find somewhere to go get busy, but instead of finding a secluded private place to romp, they barge into Celestina and Hypaxia romping.
Tharion has spent the entire party moping because he was ordered by the River Queen to be her daughter's escort to the party. And as the River Queen's daughter's curfew draws near, Tharion vows to himself that he's not going to lead her on anymore.
After the party, Hypaxia and Ethan head over to the olive grove to begin their seance with Connor. But instead of Connor, the Underking comes to say hi and traps them in the olive grove. So he can see what Hypaxia's ability can do while the hunting hounds of the House of Flame and Shadow start to hunt them.
I don't know if that just means the Underking is like super good, or if Hypaxia is not all that she's cracked up to be. Anyhow, my notes say Hypaxia, but I'm pretty sure her name is Hypaxia, is able to weave their way out of the Underking's trap. And they head off to find Bryce because they have a message from the Underking.
Asleep next to Hunt, Bryce is pulled into a dream with Apollyon, the Prince of the Pit, asking her for her help as he struggles against the Asteri.
The next day, Bryce is training her teleporting power along with Ruhn, Cormac, and Hunt when Ethan and Hypaxia show up with their message. How did it take them that long? Can anybody... Anyway, meet with the Underking right now, ASAP, or Connor and the rest of the pack of devils become second light like that. So they leave the training facility and head off to the meeting place.
As that is happening, Tharion is keeping up the pretense of searching for a meal and heads to the meat market where he overhears something about a dragon. Is it Adrian? Which is definitely not how you say that, but it's close enough that I'm going to work with it. In any case, Tharion wants to capture it and take it beneath to his queen, since he won't find a meal and doesn't want to marry her daughter.
He gets inside and pays the Viper Queen a visit to see how he can negotiate. But the dragon is off limits. Instead, he turns the conversation to Pippa S. and Ophion. Tharion wants intel about what the rebels are up to. The Viper Queen simply tells him that he should call his friends and he can find out for himself. So he does, and nobody answers.
Not one. At the Temple of Erd, Bryce, Hunt, Hypaxia, and Ruhn meet with the Underking. He says, 1, that Hypaxia's escape was impressive and that the House of Flame and Shadow will gladly accept her. 2, that he discovered that the Reapers that attacked Bryce and Ruhn are from the Astari's Eternal City. And 3, after Bryce asks, he says he knows of Jessica, but not by that name.
Again, another nugget that doesn't mean anything in this book, but seems super important and we should all take note of. Anyway, after the Underking's little soliloquy, Pippa S. shows up with Ophion soldiers because she struck a deal with the Underking, who vanishes, leaving our main characters trapped. Bryce teleports and notifies the Hind, Mordok, and the Dreadwolves that Pippa is attacking the Temple of Erd. Then she teleports back to the temple and spirits Hypaxia and Ruhn away. And then she returns to Hunt, but she is an Energizer bunny without any batteries. Just as the Hind, Mordok, and the Dreadwolves arrive behind Pippa's forces and a battle begins.
But Phyrexian shows up and leads them out through a hidden exit to freedom. But Bryce isn't buying any of his bullshit, and she holds him at gunpoint till he tells them the truth of why he's helping them.
Phyrexian, are we ready for this? Was Danica's mate. Their love for one another changed everything about him, and he knows why she was actually killed, and it wasn't because of the synth.
Super long story short, Danica was looking into the history and the origin of the shifters. Wolves, fae, angels, all of them. So, which is how she tracked down Baxian and Sofie. The numbers Sofie carved into herself are a reference to a room in the Astari's library that Phyrexian gave to Danica, who gave it to Sofie, who actually snuck in and learned the truth before she died.
Enter Declan and his computer hacking abilities. But even though he's a savant, sadly, he's unable to hack the library itself. But he does hack the camera system at the archives and is able to find footage of Sofie, so now they know what room she broke into. And now Bryce has all the information she needs to apparently make a snap decision that she's going to break into the Asteri's Eternal City and learn what Sofie knew, and to learn what Danica died.
Fearing what being caught trespassing in the Eternal City might mean, our main character begins tying loose ends.
Okay. Tharion breaks up with the River Queen's daughter. And she doesn't take it too well. Like, almost childishly not well. Because she runs to tell her mommy. Tharion, knowing he has about 20 minutes, flees into the city, goes straight to the Viper Queen, defects from the Blue Court, drinks the Viper Queen's blood, which makes him hers forever, and now the Blue Court doesn't have any claim on it.
I hated all of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan goes to see the Prime and bid to free the Wolf Mystic. There, he learns that the Wolf Mystic is actually another heir to the Fendry line, and Ethan is going to give her is her.
I don't know what I wrote, Becca. It's not you.
And
Save her. Ethan is going to save her.
Is going to save her to give the wolves a better future.
Oh, shoot. Speaking of tying up loose ends, Ruhn meets with Agent Daybright again after they give everything to each other and make love mentally. Ruhn tells her about this suicide mission to break into the archives, and she essentially tells him, don't do that. But before she can get a real warning out, she's snatched away, and now Ruhn thinks she's in danger.
What I love about this is they basically mentally connect and have sex, but not physically in person. But there is some references at the end of the book about how Ruhn smells different.
Mm-hmm.
Ruhn, fearing for her safety, prompts the group to speed up their intended heist. So they circle the wagons and begin planning in earnest.
And then, in a turn of the page, we are in the Eternal City, and we are there for 3 reasons.
1. Cormac and Tharion are to raid the science facility north of the city as a distraction for Pippa S., the rebels, and the Asteri.
Number 2, Bryce, Hunt, and Ruhn are to infiltrate the archives so Bryce can learn the truth, capital T.
3. And pretty importantly, Ruhn has lost his mind, and all he cares about is saving Agent Daybright.
Okay, let's tackle these plot lines one at a time. Starting with plot line number 1. Cormac and Tharion do indeed raid the lab according to plan, drawing the Ophion rebels and Imperial Veneer to the scene and causing a small battle.
As they make their escape, Pippa S. intercepts them, and Cormac begins a duel with Pippa to give Tharion time to run. As Tharion flees away from the facility, the Asteri arrive. Pippa puts a hole through Cormac's chest. Cormac erupts in fire around himself and Pippa, and then the entire building explodes.
Okay, so plotline number 2. This follows Bryce as she discovers the truth about the Asteri. They aren't as special as we think they are. They are purely powered by the first light and second light produced by the citizens of the world. The Asteri don't seem to actually have power on their own. Rather, they seem to be conduits for power, just like Bryce.
But that's not all Bryce finds. Bryce finds a host of information about how the Asteri have traveled from planet to planet through the universe, seeking hospitable worlds full of food.
And as Bryce is perusing this particular set of information, trying to find the Asteri's home planet, she is rudely interrupted in her breaking and entering by Rygelis via the intercom, because the two talk a lot, and Rygelis gives a whole bunch of info exposition about the Asteri, about Bryce, about the origin of the shifters, about Danica, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a villain monologue, but why is it always a villain monologue? It's never the hero giving a monologue to the villain.
It's a little mustache twirly, yeah.
Bryce teleports back to Hunt only to feel manacles going around her arms as she notices that the Hunt already has been captured by the Harpy.
And plotline number 3 is almost a waste of everybody's time, but we'll talk about it. This one begins just as Bryce slips into the archives. Ruhn can't be bothered to wait for her, so he immediately sneaks away down the hall towards the dungeons looking for Agent Daybright. But Mordok finds him almost immediately and can smell him, captures him, and throws him in a cell. And then mere minutes later, it's the same cell that the Harpy leads Hunt and Bryce to.
Just as the Harpy begins her ministrations, the Hind shows up and reveals herself to be Agent Daybright, and then kills the Harpy.
They all make it look like Bryce did it just in time for Pollux to show up, pull Bryce off of the Hind, and then rebind everybody and escort all of our main characters to an audience with the Asteri. But only Rygelis is there, since the others went to the science factory lab place to deal with Tharion.
As per usual, Rygelis needs to drop some truth bombs to unfold the story for us. Here are the cliff notes.
Okay, number 1. Mordok had been using his Bloodhound gifts to track all of our main characters and their rebel movements through the city and report them directly to Rygelis for the entirety of the book, more or less.
Number 2, Regelis knew about Cormac's rebellious nature all along and let him live so that the Asteri might track him to find even more rebels.
Number 3, Regelis planned for all of our main characters to break into the Eternal City so that he could use Bryce for his own purposes.
Number 4, Bryce's star scar is actually a beacon to the far original's planet, homeland, that can lead the Asteri back there.
Faye, I'm really good at typing right now, apparently. Number 5. Bryce can open the portals between worlds once more, which have been closed for a long time, so that the Asteri can attack Hell or colonize more planets for food.
At the end of all the info dropping, Bryce makes a deal with Regelis. Hunt and Ruhn go free, and she'll help the Asteri. He agrees, and the moments of saying goodbye, Bryce, Hunt, and Ruhn launch into action, attacking Regelis to buy Bryce a head start as she flees for the portal in the hall. Even Byaxin catches their lead and helps them out.
Regelis gives chase, but Hunt is able to send his powers into Bryce so that she gets supercharged and she can teleport her way down the hall to the portal, jump through it to Hell, narrowly avoiding Regelis's reach.
In the aftermath, Hunt, Ruhn, and Byaxin are all recaptured, and Regelis once again tattoos the halo on Hunt's forehead.
And Bryce lands in Hell, but it's not exactly what she was expecting. It's nice. You know, green grass, dew, fog, beautiful homes, a lovely city over yonder. As she gets to her feet, a demon puts a sword to her throat, picks her up, and flies her to some house somewhere.
Then a whole host of folks walk through the front door, and Bryce remarks to herself that one of them looks just like Ruhn. And that one introduces himself as Rhysand.
And book over. But then SJM gives us like a 3-page epilogue. Ethan gets a call from Flynn telling him to get back home because shit just went down in the Eternal City. Which, if you've been paying attention, we just recapped what shit went down in the Eternal City. Anyways, Ethan says he'll be there in 15 minutes, hangs up, breaks into the astronomer's building again, and wakes up the wolf mystic. And now the book is over.
Oh my god.
I feel like that recap went on forever. But also, we left out a lot of what happened or what was said.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack. Let's do our best to just stick to like what happened in section 3, because we will do a full book review episode later.
Dun dun dun.
All right, I've got some topics listed. Where would you like to start, Becca? What is on the top of your mind?
Let's start at the very end. So where is this Crescent City ACOTAR mashup going? I'm pretty convinced the Asteri are the Valg. And I know that that's not ACOTAR, but I think they are the Valg. And this is where, what's the king dude? Hybern? The Hybern king? Is also
King
a Valg.
Hybern.
Yep.
Yes. Or an Asteri, however we want to label him. But I think you are right. There was a prophecy, I want to say it was in book 1, where Ruhn was like inner monologuing or something and talking about the Star Sword to himself. And there was supposed to be a second Star Sword or a second thing that goes with the Star Sword that has been lost forever. But like that's supposed to like complete the puzzle and make it super all powerful. And obviously that's going to be, Rhys and company have that. It's a like short sword or dagger. I couldn't tell. Is that Azrael's blade? Is that like Truth Singer or whatever?
Oh, the Truth Slayer?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
But obviously this mashup is going there. So now the Star Sword and the Starborn power is all like they can actually take on the Asteri and crap. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Do you think that Prythian is where all of the Fae and Shifters come from? Is that like Bryce's homeland that the Asteri was talking about?
So that's what they make it sound like, right? Because so as Bryce is reading all of those different worlds, she come across one that is 15,000 years earlier, essentially, and she's like remarking on how this timeline doesn't make any sense because they're using different time metrics than obviously they're using in the Crescent City, and so I think so, but there's also part of me that's like, I feel like it goes even further than this. So we'll see how far back it ends up going, but that's how it makes it sound, is that the high fae of Perithian are going to be the original shifters.
I think I remember reading in ACOTAR that there was like a war that happened like 30,000 years ago or something ridiculous, where a lot of the fae decided to just go, this isn't worth it, screw it. And they like left the world. And then the
Mm-hmm.
ones that stayed decided to do battle. And I'm guessing that's going to tie in somehow,
Yep. Those have to be
which
the
is
people that split
which is
off.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm like super loving this, how this all connects.
I do like I really like the concept that we have all of these different shifters, right? You could call them breeds, almost like animals, but they all originate from the exact same set of fae.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, how do we say, it's very biblical with all of Christianity or Judaism or whatever, being the descendants from like seven brothers,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing. Like that's a pretty cool literary parallel.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so you mentioned when Bryce lands in this world, she's picked up, and you're pretty convinced the person that picks her up is Cassian by the description.
I think so.
Who do you think it is that's doing the translation when all the other people come? Is it Moore?
No, it's not more. As she's described as short. Um, Help me out. They have like an ancient force that's trapped in a female body whose name I can't remember right now. Amryn.
Thank you.
Amryn. I think it's Amryn, because she is so ancient. That's why
That's
she
what I meant.
knows. That's why she knows the old language that has not been spoken in like 15 or 20,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, I got Moore and Amryn confused.
Ah, okay. But then Reese also knows the language. So like technically more, it stands to reason that she would know it if Reese knows it.
Right? Well, and Amryn dies in one of the books, right? Like in the final, is it the Silver Flames that she actually moves on? Because she goes back into the cauldron and says goodbye after saving people. It might have been the third book.
Okay. She gives herself, but from what I understand, she is still there. She continues to live. She's like rebirth. She just doesn't have her like chaotic, wild inner power that is ready to combust anymore. She's just now a normal entity. I think that's what I remember happening.
The little thing that I quickly Googled, Amryn bursts from the cauldron in her true form and breaks it apart. She appears as a being of pure light and fire. But yeah, it does sound like she still exists. But she burns her old uh, being away.
I would love to, because she's so ancient, right? I would love there to be some concept of like Amryn was the sister of one of the Fae that left the world, or something along those lines.
Right?
I think that would be pretty cool.
Now I'm really excited for ACOTAR to be finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of okay with it being done, but now that I've read Crescent City, I'm okay with some more. Do we dive into Tharion next? Because that's the other thing that really irritated me.
Yeah, do you think he's a dick muncher asshole now?
So I feel bad for him because he's been put into this really weird spot, but also I don't quite fully get it, right? So we get this that he basically promises himself to the River Queen's daughter because he's really hot and horny one night and he thought he could get himself out of it the next night. It doesn't even sound like he gets a kiss that night. So like why would you profess your love for someone you don't even get a kiss out of? And then is betrothed to her for the next decade. And she's pissed because she's like, obviously you didn't like me. That's why we're not married. Otherwise you would have married me instead of us still being betrothed.
Yeah, and it seems like he's been like cheating on her off and on all these years with various shifters. I mean, we even get it with the leopard shifter on screen here. And like, I don't know, some of the endearing flavor that I had for Tharion is gone now because I want him to be happy. I want him to go above and live this like life that he wants. But also he seems to kind of be like a smarmy jerk.
Yeah. But also, like, his betrothed is kind of an ass too. So it's just all
Oh
around.
yeah, she's like a psycho.
Yeah.
She's a trust fund baby, sorority girl, mommy's credit card. Ugh, don't like it.
Right. And I hate that he can't just run away because he talks about how he can't, like, the River Queen will just find him and pull him back and torture him, basically. And that is why he runs to the Viper Queen and basically sells his soul.
I'm super curious to see what happens here because book 2 puts Tharion like super integrated into our main character group.
Hmm.
And if he's going to sell himself to the Viper Queen and be a pit fighter or whatever, is he going to even really be in book 3?
But the Viper Queen all along has kind of been saving our main group's tails by doing some side quests for them.
This is
So she
true.
might be in on the action.
Because he drank her blood and now like he has this
Tether?
tether to his soul. Do you think he can get rid of that?
No. It sounds like a mating tether almost.
Almost. Except for the fact that like it seems to have replaced his heart. It's like sort of described like he doesn't have this thing in the middle of his chest anymore. It's gone, and in its place is, and it almost seems like the River Queen like can like whisper to him with her blood or something, like come back.
Right? Real creepy.
Super creepy. But I'm just gonna throw it out there. Not as creepy as Ruhn and Agent Daybright.
Oh my god.
Um, very first thing I want to say, SJM, I love you, girl. You need to have better segues between points of view and plots and the mental bridge with Agent Daybright and Ruhn. That is always so abrupt and jarring.
I think that's half our jam. I think that's part of the narrative is changing point of view so fast you have to reread shit.
Okay, so I sort of started doubting my Agent Daybright is Celestina thing pretty quickly into part 3. And then the autumnal equinox party, I was like, oh yeah, it's not Celestina. Like if she has a thing for Hypaxia and it's not her. And I'm just like, what other females do we have here? And I'm like, okay, is it the Viper Queen? And there's something going on that we just don't understand. Or is the Hind putting on a show with Pollux?
Pretty big
And
show.
then it got more and more obvious as time went on that it was going to be Agent Daybright being the Hind. What did you think about that reveal? Did it surprise you?
Yes and no. Because they set it up, she set it up really nicely that you kind of are like, oh, okay. Um, Especially when Ruhn is talking to Agent Daybright and is like, yeah, there like it was unsafe, blah blah blah. And she was like, well, would you really have been hurt if I was the Hind? And you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's who you are.
Yeah. But it is a ridiculous parallel to Sofie, right? They obviously the Hind is like in her, she's older. She might be like Ruhn's age. She's like 80, 90, something like that. But she like made the drop in her mid 20s and then immediately went to be Sandriel's second in command,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Sofie was in her early 20s and like made the drop and then she became really high up with the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like, what are we going to learn about the Hind? What is her bargaining chip? How did she gain that much power that quickly at such a young age?
And how did she flip?
And how did she flip? Or did she ever flip? Was she always rebellion and went into Sandriel's Triari specifically to be placed in a position for the rebellion?
I hope we get to find that out in the next book.
Yeah. But that makes a lot of sense because after Sandriel was killed, the Hind started reporting directly to the Asteri. And so it makes sense that she started having a lot of intel.
Information.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just munching on other people's power. Num num. I mean, that certainly feels a lot like the government just pulling all of your power, your taxes, your stuff. And in this case, in this world that where she's built, they are not really giving much back in in terms of actually building a society that functions well. Comparison, because I don't know what the Astari do with magic other than eat it. Like, we don't have a good sense of, like, how do they smite the other people? Like, so far, they're just having other people run around and do their work for them. Like, we haven't really seen their magic. They just seem to eat it, from what I can tell. Okay, so we have right? And we have our 7 Astari, and the 7th one defected, right? And is not the Prince of the Pit, but the Apollyon, right? And so he's the death, the Star Eater, whatever they call him. So I wonder if it wasn't just originally 7, if maybe the Underking was like an 8th one or something that defected, or if he's like a mutant child between the Astari. In this depiction. They're a different type of terrible. I think so. Because they want to kick the Astari out, and the Astari out are terrible. Not in a romantic relationship way, but I definitely think maybe like a father daughter type of relationship. That Fey father she never had. You know the like lawful good, neutral good, those 9 boxes? I think she's a chaotic neutral. I think she's playing them all. I think she's out for herself. I think she knows that no one's out there to support her and she gotta do it herself. Mhm. Well, and Hypaxia talks about leaving her past love behind when she's talking to Bryce, and is obviously getting a little chummy with Tharion, and She doesn't seem interested in Ruhn, but she doesn't seem upset about the betrothal either. Hmm? Yeah. I think we're reading into that. I think it's adorable, but he's stuck. He's the Viper Queen's minion now. I think it's the same way he calls Bryce legs. I think he sees a pretty woman and he comes up with a nickname, knows that they hate it, and uses it to flirt. Just think it's part of his douchebag move. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she always does that, so there was just a little part of it that's like, well, it's the end of the book, so it is gonna get worse from the point of view. But there were definitely plenty of moments where I was like, this could be any character's point of view at this point. I guess I'll read a page and a half and then I'll figure out who's talking. Oh, I don't think there's anything else from part 3. I think at this point I'm now speculating where are we with ACOTAR? Is there another Crescent City book coming? So many questions. Good, because I was like, there's 4 houses, so there has to be 4 books. All right, well, we'll have to keep this in mind when we read 3 that it is not over. Yes. Thanks for listening.